All right, we're back going over the magnum opus of Dana White, the UFC 306, I believe, sphere card. Yeah, UFC 306. This name is painfully long, and honestly, we're gonna see how a card in the sphere goes. I personally think that the presentation of this is not going to be good because there's going to be that huge backdrop in the back, and that means that they're going to only be able to record one angle of the octagon without there just being a ton of visual pollution. So I don't really have high expectations for the production of this card, but we're going to still get into the picks here. Honestly, I'm looking at these are some solid fights. The real hardcore fans, the real hardcores, they're going to enjoy this one, I believe. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to open with bantamweight, Aruchi Lang versus Raul Rosas Jr. A lot of these fights, since it is a UFC Noche card for, I believe, Mexican Independence Day, they have a lot of the Mexican fighters in mismatches, and this is a prime example of one. Raul Rosas Jr. is probably better than Aruchi Lang in like everything, so I have to favor him to win, probably by like an early blitz sub, very likely. So that's going to be that one. Raul Rosas Jr. is a very good pick there. He's a strong grappler. His striking looks very good as well. Raul Rosas Jr. drops a win to Christian Rodriguez. Not a horrible thing to have happened. It didn't really even look that bad. I'm not sure if he even got finished. He just got beat up. Christian Rodriguez is a pretty solid fighter. He beat Terrence Mitchell. He knocked him out cold. And then we have, let's see, Ricky Tercios in his last fight. He had submitted him in the second round. So against Aruchi Lang is just fodder for this division, I believe. He's going to get fed to Raul Rosas Jr. for an emphatic finish to be recorded on this card. And so Dana White can clip farm it with the sphere in the background, all of those huge panel. I'm telling you, it's gonna ruin it for all of us. So going on to the next one, we have Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Van. Edgar Chairez, the course of his career is kind of funny. He lost to a really good, I think he lost to Tatsuro Taira, it was, which he went to decision with Tatsuro Taira, which is honestly a feather in his cap in its own, because that guy is a finisher and he gets all types of crazy finishes as well. Tatsuro Taira does. In his next fight, he fought Daniel Lacerda, I believe is his name. It was a shoot-a-box flyweight, and it was again on a Mexican Independence card. It was a UFC Noche fight card, and it was a win for him that was overturned. It was a sub, and it was like the ref stepped in too early and he broke it up so that they couldn't figure out how to handle it. So they just overturned the fight and then rescheduled it. And then this man Edgar Chairez just comes out and subs him again. I think it was 2 guillotines, literally. So he's fighting, I'm not sure who his opponent was before he pulled out and was replaced by this fighter, but our boy Joshua Van is fighting again, which is like not my favorite thing to hear right now. I like to see Joshua Van fight, but I don't want to see him fight whenever he just got knocked out, I believe on July 13th. So that layoff needed to be longer. I think if he comes back out, Edgar Chairez, he's a good grappler, but the reason why he was able to choke Daniel Lacerda out so easily is because he hurt him really bad on the feet first. And Joshua Van's boxing is good. Charles Johnson, the guy with the shag in lightweight, his boxing is really sharp as well. And I really thought that Joshua Van had the striking capabilities to be able to at least, not get flatline KO'd by Charles Johnson. But, things just happen in this sport. So he's fighting again. I'm not sure if this is an educated call. I think that this is, again, another fight that I would favor the Mexican to take, even though I really do like Joshua Van. That's my boy. So if he does win, that's cool. But I think that Edgar Chairez is the guy with the more momentum going into this, and he'll have the crowd behind him as well, whatever that's worth. Going to the next fight, Jasmine Uregi versus Ketlin Souza. Another mismatch in WMMA. I think that Jasmine Uregi is likely going to win this fight. She is a heavy favorite. Ketlin Souza is kind of stinky. I think I do remember her. Okay, so Jasmine Uregi is a very strong boxing style for the women's strawweight division. She's fighting Ketlin Souza, who fought Karen Silva and absorbed a bunch of damage in that fight. Whenever she does win, it's an uneventful decision, and Yasmin Yaregi has a lot of finishes. This is honestly a WMMA fight, so I could very well here. Let's grab the coin. Let's say heads, Jasmine Yaregi, tails, Ketlin Souza. All right, heads, Jasmine Yaregi. This is what I was going with anyways, so we're going to move on. Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Manuel Torres, all right, so like one thing about this card, it's not really full of interesting fighters that we know of, but there's a lot of hype jobs. Like a lot of these fighters have a lot of like hype behind their names, so it's going to be interesting to watch whether or not they win or lose in these fights, especially in fights where they're fighting each other, like Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Ignacio Bahamondes is coming off a crazy head kick win, I believe, in his last fight, but somewhere in the middle of all of his emphatic finishes, he's gotten beaten by Ludovic Klein, who's another exceedingly amazing lightweight, pardon me, excuse me, please. And he's fighting Manuel Torres, who has a string of first round finishes that are coming from brutal knockouts and submissions. And the thing that's crazy about it is that he's a grappling heavy style as well, so he's probably a good pick against Ignacio Bahamondes, who literally just got out-grappled by Ludovic Klein and beat up on the ground for 15 minutes in their fight. So Manuel Torres could very well do the same thing to Bahamondes, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I've seen any like rocked moments. This guy literally has 3 fights in the UFC, and the combined total of his entire fight time is like, I think he was also on the Contender Series too, and like maybe like 4 minutes, 5 minutes of fight time footage on this guy. And in those times, I'm not sure if I've ever seen him rocked as well. So I'm not sure if he'll struggle with the range. He's usually fighting smaller guys, is something to note as well. So maybe Ignacio Bahamondes can present a challenge that he hasn't seen before, and just his range and the size of his frame. So we'll see how he does, but Ignacio Bahamondes is vulnerable to grappling. I mean, dude, he's like a 6'3" lightweight. Like, dude, you're getting grappled, buddy. So I'm going to take Manuel Torres for this fight, which is sad because I really like Ignacio Bahamondes. The Chilean is cold. The next fight, Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. I know a lot of the fellas are going to be sitting real close to the TV screen about the time that this fight comes on, because Norma Dumont's butt is huge. But I'm not going to pick her to win this fight off of the strength of that. She just beat up Germaine Durandamy. If you give Norma Dumont a striker, she's a sound enough striker at women's bantamweight to win that fight, but she does kind of fold under like grappling pressure. She fought Macy Chiasson, and Macy Chiasson literally just grappled her, and she gave up like 6 takedowns in that fight, which is like not good. Even though it was in 2022, I'm not sure if anyone's really applied a wrestling offense like Irene Aldana has the potential to do. I'm not sure if she'll be able to do it successfully, because one thing that I will say about Irene Aldana is that she gets hit a lot on the feet. I think she fought Amanda Nunes, and she went to decision with her though. So I mean, strength of scheduling, Irene Aldana isn't really losing to anyone other than like belt holders in the division, so she's a good pick to win this fight. I say that she uses the grappling to get this one done, but whenever Norma Dumont is in like top full guard, pay close attention. Moving on. This is going to be into... That was the end of the prelims, so that was the featured fight of the prelims. We're going on to flyweight now to open up the main card. Ode Osbourne versus Ronaldo Rodriguez. And Ode Osbourne, dude, like, I cannot in good faith pick him to win this fight, dude. This guy's a fucking joker, dude. And like, he probably still whooped my ass, but this guy is a fucking, like, is a goofball. And, like, he does hella silly shit in fights. Like, against Manel Cap, he was, like, feigning takedowns and making Manel Cap, like, sprawl in the middle of the octagon, just, like, off of this takedown threat. And he ended up just getting his, like, his chin flying kneed off into, like, onto the surface of Mars. And it's just, he just gets finished. That's what he's there to do. I feel like this guy is literally just is a jobber. And Ronaldo Rodriguez is a Mexican fighter who is coming off of 1 win against Dennis Bondar, and his fighter nickname is the Lazy Boy. And that is something that I will say is like funny about his fighting style, is his technique is great, but he's literally like, it literally looks like he's fighting while sitting down in a reclining chair. It's really funny. So gotta pick him to win this one against Ode Osbourne. I think that's the good pick here. Ode Osbourne is just a lot of damage on him, a lot of wear. So I'm not sure if he'll be able to hold up against that young, explosive prospect who literally fights so relaxed and has so much composure. I think Ode Osbourne won't give him anything that'll make him freak out. So I think that's the good pick there. This is probably going to be fight of the night, I think. Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. All right, so dude, Manuel Torres, and whether they deserve it or not, Manuel Torres and Daniel Zellhuber are both in UFC 5, and you can play with them in the video game, or as them in the video game, and fucking like, I'm not sure if they deserve it. There's a lot of hype that has gone into it. Daniel Zellhuber is pretty good, but I've watched some of his fight footage, and he's a big lightweight, and he fights really like long. It's hard to enter range against him because his hands are right there to like either parry your punches or counter you the second that you enter range. Esteban Ribovic runs into the pocket, windmilling his arms like a freaking goofball. But one thing that I notice about Daniel Zellhuber's offense is that whenever he strikes, he does his best work counter punching against guys who throw straight tight punches that are trying to like snipe him, you know? He suffers whenever people throw like big looping punches over the top. And that's literally all Esteban Ribovic's offense is. It's just these huge like looping punches that come like upwards and from downwards, like from upwards angles downwards, and then head kicks that like come over the top as well. And granted, Esteban Ribovic is a bit shorter than Daniel Zellhuber here in this fight. Let's take a look. I don't think it's a considerable difference in height. Let's see. Yeah, it's 5'10" to 6'1". Those head kicks will be there for him. I think they will be there for him. Those head kicks will be there for him to land. I think that the 8-inch reach of Zellhuber will definitely matter as well. But I feel like this guy will have no problem entering the pocket. It was in Daniel Zellhuber's last fight against Prado, who's another Argentinian. I watched the highlights of it and also like the full fight. It was uploaded. He was getting hit a lot over the top with like these punches that were like basically overhand throws, and his guard was like at around his shoulders, and he was like fading backwards, like trying to get him to like rush in and throw straight shots and miss so that he could counter with his own straight shots. And like whenever the guy would like feint and then enter and then just throw an overhand, it would catch him. And I don't think that Esteban Ribovic is throwing punches just for fun. Those aren't like those aren't for play, you know, like they're real power in those shots. So dude, honestly, this is the craziest pick I'm gonna have. I feel like I've been playing it really safe like this whole time. I'm taking Esteban Ribovic to derail this hype train, and I'm gonna eat these words too. I know it. I know that this guy is gonna get laid face down on the canvas just because I'm doing this. But dude, the Terrence McKinney knockout. I know that from tracking the projection of what was it, Ishmael Bonfim. If you knock out Terrence McKinney, that doesn't really mean much, you know. That brutal KO can be scored by, you know, maybe even mediocre fighters. But dude, I don't think that Esteban Ribovic sucks. I think that he's actually pretty good, and I think that his kickboxing will prevail against Daniel Zellhuber, and that's what I'm going to go with here. No regrets. Featherweight bout. Oh man, bro, this is a fight I've been pining for such a long time. I hope that there's no problem on the scale this time for Brian Ortega. I hope that he can keep his lunch in his stomach and then make the walk to the octagon against Diego Lopez, who we saw fight Dan Ige in his last fight. It's literally just a matter of, will Brian Ortega get finished in 45 seconds? And I don't think that he will. Because, dude, he needs to Eagle Max. It's been written in the Eagle prophecy. He needs to go into the cave and smash his beak and rip off all of his feathers, dude. And he needs to come back out and rebirth. And this is part of the rebirth. This is one of the other stages of the rebirth. The final stage of the rebirth is him literally getting beaten to death by either Max Holloway again or Ilia Topuria. He's getting to the belt, and Diego Lopez is not going to beat him, bro. He's going to get subbed. One thing that we can count on, though, is Diego Lopez pulling up in some fly ass fits for the pressers because he always got that drip on. But Brian Ortega, bro, he's gonna complete the prophecy by any means, dude. We saw it in this last fight. No matter what adversity gets thrown in his way, like, he's going to fulfill the ego maxing prophecy. So Diego Lopez, he showed vulnerability against Dan Ige, not like a crazy amount, but he didn't look inhuman like he did against Sadiq Youssef, just like glassing him immediately. There's a limit that this guy can hit where he's like, okay, I'm not gonna push any harder, and he starts to get tired a little bit too. Brian Ortega can capitalize on that in the later rounds if he can survive the early ones, and he can win, I think, dude, because that's a different level of grappling, dude. Like, that guy is serious on the ground. Like, that's a dude who I actually like think he's at least top 3 grappling in the entire UFC, dude. Like, he has to be. Like, pound for pound skill, all weight classes. Maybe Oliveira's another mention. I'll make a list of that, honestly. Best grapplers in the UFC. That's another video idea. So you guys will see that soon. Honestly, I'm gonna make that video. That's a good idea. So yeah, I rate him, dude. Brian Ortega is cold. So I want to see him continue to win. And we women's flyweight now in the co-main event. We have Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko for the 8 millionth time. It feels like this is probably like have they only fought once or twice? Honestly, dude, I don't care. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. Like, and Valentina Shevchenko, she's getting old too, dude. Like, and one thing that nobody ever talks about is how bad she cries whenever she loses too. She coped so hard the last time that they fought. And I mean, she had a right to, I guess, because they gave Alexa Grasso the 10-8 on the one scorecard that let her keep the belt, and it was on the Mexican card, so of course they're gonna give her the 10-8. It wasn't a 10-8 round, but like, I feel like she's gonna, like, all she's gonna have is cope after, like, she loses again, dude. I feel like Ariana Grande is gonna get this one, bro, and then we're gonna go on a date to Dairy Queen, and I'm gonna buy her a Blizzard. Yeah, so Valentina, she's getting up there in age. I think she's over the hill. I don't want to see, like, this fight, honestly. I don't really care about her fighting, really. Honestly, women's flyweight is just, like, this is a dead division, dude. And it's like, who cares? Like, being real. I don't expect this fight to deliver. That's the thing, it may be a good fight because I have 0 expectations for it. But I don't really care. So, like, I think that Alexa Grasso is probably going to defend this belt again. Valentina Shevchenko has had so many opportunities to win decisively, and she just doesn't. She's just probably going to go for stupid head and arm throws and just, like, fail them. Or dumb spinning back kicks and then sell the fight. But we're going on to the main event now, and this is the one that I'm going to give it the in-depth analysis of. I'm going to give a huge in-depth analysis of this main event. Merab Dvalishvili is not going to win this fight. I don't know why people favor him to win this fight at all. I don't understand what the sound reasoning is behind taking Merab Dvalishvili to beat Sean O'Malley. The grappling. Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili, in their own respects, are literally equal in grappling. Merab Dvalishvili has probably better cardio than Sean O'Malley, but he cannot use his cardio if he's asleep, dude. Get this, right? Merab Dvalishvili has no submissions. He has 0 submission threat. He does not submit people. So his best chance at winning through grappling is holding Sean O'Malley down and getting a TKO, which I don't think will happen. Sean O'Malley has actually submission threats, dude. I feel like he is more likely to sub Merab Dvalishvili in this fight than Merab Dvalishvili is to sub Sean O'Malley in this fight. And that's a crazy thing for people to hear whenever I say. But dude, Aljo is the sub guy. Merab is the control guy and cardio guy. And that's why I don't understand why people think that the division would be healthier with him as champ. He doesn't finish fights, dude. And his fights, for whatever it's worth, he wins, but they're boring. The biggest moment that he had in fighting Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, and Henry Cejudo was picking up Henry Cejudo like a baby and throwing him down. He didn't put his lights out. He didn't sub him. He just picked him up. Which, I mean, like, yeah, that's cool. It's an Olympic wrestler, but, like, dude, like, No finishes out of this guy. He's literally Aljamain Sterling, but like worse skill set wise, but just better cardio. This guy is like Bilal Muhammad, but worse. This guy is literally like, he's just a smudge grappler. And he's chinny. He's chinny. We've seen him get chinned by Marlon Moraes. We've seen him get nearly chinned by Henry Cejudo. You really think that if Sean O'Malley breaks with Merab Dvalishvili from the clinch and lands that same left hook that Moraes and Cejudo landed on Dvalishvili's chin, that he is gonna like just shake it off? He's gonna smile at him and like nod or like raise his hand out to glove touch? Dude, he's going to bed. He's going to bed. I see this being a one-sided beatdown where like, have you seen that one clip of like those kids fighting in the bathroom? And the guy, he like squares on him and then he's like shaking his arms all around and he slaps the guy. It's gonna be like that. Sean O'Malley is literally gonna Eddie Wineland this guy, and he's gonna like do some funny stuff with his hands and then just shoot just a straight punch right down the pipe and snipe Merab Dvalishvili's chin off. So that's my prediction, dude. Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight emphatically. And like, that's why I hope the production of this is like decent, because dude, like that'll be a huge moment for the people that are there and for us at home if like the production quality is good of this card. It's gonna be a big fight, dude. And one thing that I noticed was that like Sean O'Malley was like a pretty sizable underdog going into it, but like, dude, people are gonna glaze now that like fight week is upon us, just because that's who they're really paying the ticket, like the money for the tickets to see and stuff. And the bettors, like, they really know what's good in their hearts, bro. Sean O'Malley, like, I feel like Dana White right now. What's the question? Sean O'Malley. That's literally how I feel talking about Sean O'Malley. I'd be like doing little promos for him and Drickus, bro. Sean O'Malley is so good, and people underrate his boxing, bro, because his kicks are amazing, right? But like whenever we're talking best boxers in the UFC, everyone, Peter Yan, Dustin Poirier, Peter Yan, who else they talk about? They talk about Jack Della Maddalena, bro, Ilia Topuria. I would put Sean O'Malley's boxing in these classes with these guys, bro. Sean O'Malley's boxing is magnificent, dude. It is so good, and he blends it super well with kicks. Like his feints, the way that he layers them on top of each other to set up this rolling 1-2. Corey Sandhagen did like this video documenting the way that like he does like his striking and like the way he throws his 1s and 2s and stuff. Super snappy jabs, crazy range, feints, spinning kicks, like effectively. Like this guy is just a crazy bag of tricks. I think that he's been training grappling as well for this fight a lot. Duh. And I think that he'll be able to stay off of the cage being so large. I think that he'll be able to be stronger maybe than Merab in a lot of these positions once he starts like opening up on him with the striking. I see a very... Alright, so there's two ways this could go. Sean O'Malley could either knock him out. Whoa! We're so excited. Or this could be a boring 5-rounder where Sean O'Malley still wins, but it's just boring. And he's just like just walking around and punching him and moving around and punching him. And I really don't want that to happen. But I don't really see an instance where Merab like wins this fight. I don't think that it happens. So, cry, Merab fanboys. I think that this is gonna be like a landslide Sean O'Malley win, and that's gonna be the Sphere card at the UFC. Let's read the whole like title of this card. What is it called again? Yeah, Riyadh season Noche UFC Sphere. UFC 306 Riyadh season Noche UFC. So that's gonna be the whole card predictions. I feel it this time. I feel like I'm gonna be like vindicated this time. We went 8-4 last time. I think that that's not too bad. I generally want to be around like, you know, like the 60-70% range for my picks. I feel like that's good. I want to be a bit riskier though in who I take, because I just want to go with guys who I know about, other than like dudes who like I just see are like favorites on these matchups. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a good card, honestly. I was super negative about it going into this, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, best grapplers in the UFC coming up soon. I'm gonna make that video. I had that idea like earlier in this one, so yes, I will catch you guys in the next one. Please be well, my friends, and yes.